It's showtime. Welcome back to PHLY Union Podcast. As we have been waiting, we've been talking about it. The moment is finally here, live and in studio. You don't care about me, who I am, Renee Washington. It's all about Ale Bedoya finally joining us on the guest. The captain's here.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. I got to walk the beautiful space, so congratulations to you and the rest of Philly sports.
Yes. Cool. What I love about this is you are our first official in-person guest. For those of you that are tuning in, we haven't had a player yet until today. We are just 2 weeks into the show, and for PHLY Sports altogether, just 2 weeks in. So I'm thrilled that we get to launch our first in-person guest with you, someone that I know I've spoken to, and just overall with the union, with how exciting you guys are to have this chance to have a conversation.
Yeah, well, I feel honored to be the first one here, and I got to say, it's a great space, so really cool.
All right, so we've got lots to get into today. We will, of course, talk about who you are, get a deeper dive so that people get to know you even more off the pitch. But let's talk about the fact you guys just clinched a playoff spot. Heading back to the postseason, Wednesday night in the tie against Charlotte, you come back after trailing by 2 goals. All 4 of those goals scored in the second half. You guys, with 2 late goals, able to come back, clinch. I mean, what coming out of that game, what was the talk in the locker room of just how you guys are able to fight back and get a point?
Yeah, I think, what's interesting is obviously now the way our club has transformed over the years, just clinching is that's expected from us,
yes.
Right? So I think it was actually a bit somber in the locker room, to be honest with you, because, we did go down 2-0, we came back 2-2, but I think we were upset with ourselves the way we played. I thought the first half we could have scored or been better off the transition moments that we had in that game. So I would say, that's kind of the mentality of the team. We weren't satisfied with just a draw there in Charlotte because we knew we that we could have won that game and probably should have. But I think, I just saw that at the beginning of the intro, there's levels to this, right? And I think that's where we are now, right? There's levels to this to the point where we're not a team that's just, complacent or satisfied with clinching, right? We know we want to get to the playoffs with when they start as a top seed. And so that's what we're vying for. The Charlotte game, all away games are tough. Playing on turf sucks. And it's not just me as a soccer player saying that, but I think you even hear from the NFL players too, football players, Playing on turf sucks. And that game wasn't pretty at times, because it gets sloppy, with the bounces and the way the ball rolls and things like that. But I think that's just mentality of the team. I'm happy with the effort, to come back from 2 goals down to tie it. And, hey, clinching playoffs is, it's not something that we should just casually look over either, because a lot of teams still don't make the playoffs. But at the same time, we're striving for more than just clinching.
Yeah, no, that's a great point of just the expectations that you're not satisfied with just clinching. And there was a time that clinching a playoff spot was the goal, not just for the Union, but for many teams. And so now it's like, oh, okay, you expect that. You were waiting for that moment to happen. But it is tough when you look at back-to-back games that ended in ties, where, again, Cincinnati, you're up 2-0, you end up tying 2-2. Against Charlotte, you're down 2-0, you end up tying 2-2. And I know for people watching on the outside looking in, it's like, well, wow, it's 2 games that are winnable games, 2 games that we would love to see 3 points come out of. But as a player, especially being in the mix, what is it that you liked? And also, of course, adjustments that you would like to be better, taking a look at both of those games from being on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'd agree with that sentiment, right? The same sensation that the fans probably feel is that when you're up 2-0 at home, you expect to win a game, right? But then when you're down 2-0, maybe you shouldn't be down 2-0, but at least you come back and get points. But as a player, you stay in the moment. I think one thing I've learned over my career in general is, you never get too high when it's going well, and you never get too low when maybe things aren't going so well. So it's just being able to maintain that middle ground and just keep, the good thing about this amount of games that we play this season is that there's always the next one real quick, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you don't get too much time to think about maybe the last result. You move on to the next game. So now we have a great opportunity tomorrow against LAFC, who's a quality opponent, but, to just put those games behind us and move forward, look forward and get the results that we know we're capable of, especially at home in front of our home fans, where it's that, Subaru Park's been a fortress for us, and we know that. How confident we are at home and how strong we typically are. So hopefully we can get 3 points tomorrow.
Yeah, and that is, obviously a very captain, mature response, but as a whole, as a team, you guys understanding the value of just staying in the moment and knowing there's so many games, there's so many matches. It's easy for someone to sit up and say, and like you said, you agree. A Charlotte game is a game that's, it's a disappointment. Being up against Cincinnati, that's a disappointment. But at the end of the day, bigger picture, it's on to the next one. You know, it's not getting stuck on the shoulda, woulda, couldas and all the things you could have done differently, because each of these games, regardless how you feel about the result, regardless if it's the result you want, I should say, help down the stretch, as you know, come postseason time. And what is it about this group specifically? I mean, every year a team has a different identity. You know, there's always some new players. There's always some players that you no longer have on the roster. So for this group so far, now that we are getting towards the end of the regular season, what is it about this group that you feel like makes them so special?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the word identity, right? And it's pretty crystal clear over the last few years. We've had a certain identity. Everybody knows pretty much what they're going to get from the Philadelphia Union, or what they're going to see when Philadelphia Union is playing, right? That's typically a high-pressing team, a team that is good at forcing the other team to make mistakes into turnovers, and we're all about those transition moments, right?
Yeah.
Can we capitalize on those transition moments? And you know, we're able to create a lot of chances out of those transition moments, turning the ball over, or getting the opponent to turn the ball over in bad spots, right? And like I said, I think we lacked that, you know, the final third sharpness against Charlotte in the first half, where I think we definitely turned them over enough times, and we just weren't, you know, efficient with our transition moments. But that's the identity, you know, I think that we have, and every player that comes into the squad, into the team, knows what the team identity is, what the club culture is like, in the locker room, with the personalities, and you know, they know what their role is, and that's key, is everybody understanding their role. And I think what also helps too is continuity. You know, that can't be that can be undermined. I think continuity has helped us be successful. We've kept pretty much the core of the team intact. When you start with Blake, the center back, midfielders, you know, and then, you know, strikers here come in and out, I guess. They've been a little bit different over the years, but a team like us, we're always going to create chances for those strikers, right? Because of turnovers and transition moments. So whoever comes in that striker, I feel like, you know, has a decent chance of having chances created for them and opportunities. So, but yeah, identity is crucial, I think, and I think that's something that we've been able to build on from top to bottom, and the whole club, across the whole club and team.
And it is interesting you say that, because I couldn't agree more. I know we talked about it on our first episode of the show with our guest JP, and was just talking about how when you look at year after year, from Andre Blake, you know, the back line, the midfield core, the core of this group has been the same. And also looking at the success that's happened, actually going back to Blake's 2016 Goalkeeper of the Year award, and you joining the team in 2016, and also looking at then the Supporter Shield in 2020. Well, there's stuff that happened in between with playoffs and things too, but Supporter Shield in 2020, the CONCACAF success. Like, every year the team has continued to evolve. Last year's obviously the run to the MLS Cup. You know, what of these milestones and these stepping stones, how have they, I should say, help you guys really be able to have that maturity and that mindset that at this point of just sticking to your identity and trusting that regardless what happens, not too high, not too low, you've got this?
Yeah, no, I think that helps to have like that, like I talked about with the culture in the locker room. You know, I love the different personalities we have on the team, and you know, there's been a few players that maybe have come and gone that maybe didn't fit, and you know, they weren't the right fit, and so they're gone now. But like you said, the core of the team, I think, has been crucial. You know, from Blake, you know, from the back line, you know, you've had Jacob and Jack been in there for a while now, even Kai out there, Jose, myself, and a couple others in the midfield, and then, you know, I think that's the spine of the team, really, you know, and I think that's been so important for our team to be successful. I got to give a lot of credit, obviously, to the coaching staff. Jim, obviously, has a big part to put the play in here. Just, you know, he's a great manager, you know, I guess with tactical in terms of getting us to play and in this identity, but also a man manager. I think that can't be understated. I think if you ask any player in the Union, they'll say Jim is, you know, obviously the nicest guy, and he's such a great person. You know, sometimes maybe too nice, you know, and I like him to get it stuck in, and I'd like to hear from him, but, you know, get that South Philly in him going. But no, he's been great, and, you know, credit to the staff and everybody who's, you know, been a part of building the squad up to this point. But, you know, I think the core of the team has been so important for us to be successful, because, you know, it takes a certain mentality. And once you become experienced, like I said, with Blake and myself being part of that first, you know, playoff appearance, you build on that, right? And you want to know, okay, this is how hard, you know, Blake's been here a lot longer than I have, so this is how long it took. I've been here through the bad times. I know what it's like to be there and not make the playoffs. Like, this is what we want, and then what's the next step? The next goal is, you know, to advance in the playoffs, and we were managed to do that little by little. You're taking steps, and then, supporter shield. And then what's the next step? Oh, we got to get to the final. We got to the final.
Yep.
And fortunately, we didn't win the last one, but I mean, the goal is here. It's still the same. At the very least, make the playoffs, and then make the regional tournament, CONCACAF Champions League, and we've done well in that tournament as well. And so, I got to give credit to the guys, the mentality, because at the end of the day, everybody knows the Union isn't. We're not a huge, big budget team, so it's down to the players and the characters and the personalities to be like, we're going to go in there and compete.
Yeah.
You look at tomorrow's game, look down the line, between, names and stuff. I mean, the transfer fees that they paid for their players, the salaries that those players are on is a lot higher than the guys here. But guess what? We compete. And that's something that I think maybe Philly fans can appreciate about Philly, right? We're often looked, Phillies, as guess people are often looked at maybe a bit underrated or the underdogs and all this stuff. And that's what we're all about, just making sure we compete and whenever we step on the field in between the white lines and go for it.
Yeah, Philly fans definitely have and understand, I should say, for all of our sports teams, the underdog mentality that you see, because without a doubt, it's never, I don't care how successful our teams are and how successful, as you talk about, you guys have continued to achieve more, still have that underdog mentality in this case, maybe in the financial side, whatever it may be. I love in the chat, we're seeing some different people popping in. Will saying, Will loves the Union. We all love the Union, Will. Hand Squared saying that Bedoya, you're looking like a model as always.
Oh, wow. That's a compliment.
GQ Bedoya. Look at that.
I forgot this was live. I didn't even shave, nothing. I need a haircut. Oh my gosh. Appreciate the comment, though.
Yes. And then also we're getting from Jose, was the financial prize for players and clubs worth the uncharted territory that teams find themselves in, having played 40-plus games at this point? That has been just the longevity of the season, the amount of matches that you've played. I know you were even saying, is that 200 number correct? We got that number from MLS, that you've had 200 appearances in the MLS, but as we know, there's more outside of just that because of the international fixtures that you're playing. I don't know, you just took a drink of water, you're staying hydrated, you're staying loose. But do you feel
I'll acknowledge that question from Jose.
I was going to say, go for
Thanks,
it.
Jose, for asking that, because I think, obviously, there's always incentives out there, right, for players, for coaches, whoever it may be, and those are important, right, because I think those mentally get you going to try to achieve those incentives and get that bonus money or whatever. But I think there needed to be that financial prize for players, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that are playing. Obviously there's people that share a boardroom, and there's the front offices, but they're looking at X's and O's, right? They're looking at how can we maximize revenue? How can we, make a profit here or there? But they're not the ones playing. They're not the ones traveling. We saw many, I could totally understand the Mexican players on their side. They're the clubs that were here, and if they made it as far as we did, I mean, they're in the States, away from their families for 5-6 weeks. I mean, look, that takes a toll on their body, all the travel. You saw Monterrey, the team that we played in the semis, complaining about that, how much they traveled. But also, mentally too. I mean, we're not robots, so you can look at numbers on a spreadsheet to see how you maximize revenue. I think Leagues Cup was great. It was fun. We enjoyed it. We were home most of the time. It was great for our club. We qualified in Champions League. But certainly, the financial prize is important to keep in mind, because the players need to share in that. And I would say even more so because of what we put ourselves through. I mean, we're already at 43rd, 44th game of the season, perhaps. I might be off. That's way more than a full season already played, with games to go, with playoffs games to go. We got the first round in the playoffs now. They've added it's a 3-game knockout kind of competition, that first round. So there's a lot more games at stake. So when there's more games at stake, of course, there should be more money at stake for the players. So. Yeah.
And it is interesting because we have definitely seen the change within soccer in America. It already happens in other countries where you have, throughout the course of the regular season, there's a mixture of cups and tournaments. And then, of course, for the MLS specifically, as you mentioned, international games that you're playing against opponents. And I see to Jose's question on one side, yes, it does add more games to your schedule. So physically could be and is more taxing, but on the other side, mentally, as you're talking about, gives you something else to play for, gives your team another chance to compete against someone else. As a player, what do you feel is is the trade-off of how it helps just as a group to have these moments where you're not just playing MLS teams. You get to play some other opponents. You get to travel to other places, even sometimes being away from home a little bit more than you'd like. But how does that help long-term? And do you feel it outweighs the physical demand that those extra games add, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think, look, we're competitors first and foremost, right? We want to win. So whenever there's a trophy on the line, like you want to win silverware, right? That's the end goal, right? I don't just do this for charity, for fun.
Yeah.
Of course it's fun, right? But at the end, I want to win. And, Leagues Cup was introduced. There's the first iteration of it this year. I'm sure there'll be changes and fixes and whatever for the next Leagues Cup, but that was a trophy on the line that we were vying for. You know, just like there's Champions League, just like there, maybe a U.S. Open Cup and the league and whatnot, and Supporter Shield. So that was our mentality. You can complain all you want about extra gets taxing, and especially there's so many different variables at stake too. We play in this tournament during the summer months, which here it was brutal. It's hot. It's brutal, and some of those games, players are dealing with humidity, tired legs. It's taxing on the body, no doubt about that. We're not robots, that's the truth. So there's a thing, about how can we continue to add even more depth and, salary cap. We don't have to get into all those things, technical stuff. But like you said, we're competitors. So whenever there's games at stake and a competition at stake, we want to win. And so that'll obviously, when the whistle blows, all that stuff goes out the window. You're there to compete and do your best again to win.
Yeah, and definitely so many games. Jose, I love that you're dropping the questions. If anybody else has questions, drop them in the chat. I'll give you guys a chance to get those questions asked to Ali as we're going through it. Best team in Philadelphia. So many games, as Jonathan is saying, just stay healthy, boys. Could not agree more. And Ali's saying in the chat, Ali loves the Union. What a great guest to have on. We love that too, because Ali, you are a great guest to have on the show. And as we are talking through the games, for anybody that's looking to get to a game, you can always head over to the Game Time app. Game Time app has you covered, where you're able to use the code PHLY. You get $20 off with that code of your first purchase. It's great for helping you find tickets, whether it's to games, concerts, any sort of sports and entertainment that you want to check out. It makes it easy. It makes it quick. And with a nice code of PHLY, you also get a $20 discount. So we love to save money too. So listen, there are plenty of games coming up, including one tomorrow, back at home. And you're playing against LAFC. After two odd games, honestly. That seems like those last two were another chance to get back in the win column. Obviously, you've clinched, which takes a little bit of that pressure off, but every game is always a game that you're playing for something, as you talk about with the postseason, the way it is set up. Home games are important. There's more. Coming into tomorrow's game, what have you guys talked about in terms of adjustments that you want to make taking on LAFC?
Yeah, look, I think this was one of the first games that maybe was circled when the schedule first came out, just because obviously it's a rematch of last year's MLS Cup final. But, the season is where it's at right now. Yeah. It's towards the end. Both teams have traveled a lot recently. We've both played a lot of games this year because of obviously how far we both made it in Champions League and with the Leagues Cup and stuff like that. So, look, LAFC is still one of the top teams in this league. We know about their quality and their talent that they have. But if when I recall and look back at our game in the Champions League semis here at home, I thought we played a great game. We had a good game plan. We really pressured them a lot, and we created a lot of chances. So the talk is just like I mentioned earlier. We just got to be able to capitalize better on just transition moments, play our game, play our style in front of our home fans. However, the weather might play a role in how the game is played out. There's, like I mentioned earlier, there's always variables, other variables, right? But we'll see. But it's all about us, If we stick to our game plan, play our style of play and impose it on them, I think that we can come out a result. Obviously, we respect the opponent, but it's about us, really, and how we apply ourselves and hopefully we can finish off our chances. And I'd like for us to also keep a shutout. We haven't really been able to do that. And I think that's something that we talk about and we've strive, that we're all about. Strive to do, keep shutouts. So I think Andre would really appreciate it if we can help him keep a shutout. He's the best goalie in the league. So, if we're able to keep a shutout, we're going to be in the game and got to finish our chances. Yeah.
No, a shutout makes it nice. And obviously it's definitely a goal that you want to have a clean sheet, not only for Andre, but for your back line too. Obviously, there's been some changes in your back line for different reasons over the last game. So I think from a confidence standpoint, to get a clean sheet is always good. And then doesn't hurt offensively as well when you know the back line, the back five's getting things done, and now offensively you can play with a little bit more of that flair. But you've got a great mixture of youth and veterans, so to speak. You know, what is it that you like most about what the young group is bringing? We saw Quinn Sullivan come into the game on Wednesday, gets a goal, makes an immediate impact. What is it about this next group of young talent that you guys have on this team that really can help you guys out and has helped you guys out, I should say?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to need them even more down the stretch too, you know, to add depth. But they're all young, talented players. You know, I think they've come through, you know, obviously our academy here, and they're all great guys as well. You know, I actually sit in the corner with pretty much all those young guys. You know, I'm in between Jack McGlynn and Quinn Sullivan. Oh. So, you know, it's great that they're always wanting to learn, always asking questions, but also always, you know, staying after training and working on their game, you know, working on their touches and, you know, finishing and passing and all this stuff. And so I think that's very important, especially for the young guys coming to, you know, first team. But they're always willing to put the work in. They stay ready, they stay hungry, even when they probably don't agree with maybe the amount of playing time that they've gotten. Mm-hmm. But, you know, credit to Quinn last game coming in, making an immediate impact, like you said, a great finish. We know he's got a great shot, and he was able to score and help us get back into the game. And then Jack McGlynn, I think he's been a highly rated talent for many years, you know, and I think I rate him very highly. You know, he's got a great left foot, great vision, great passing, great touch. And so, you know, there's others obviously as well. But, you know, those two guys they're like my sons, I feel like, and sitting next to them. I feel like they could be my sons. I'm twice their age pretty much. Actually, almost.
You're right. They so, really could be your. How does that make you feel when it's like every year? And I feel like as you stay in the league longer, it only gets worse, where you have players that could literally be your child. But also the things that they're saying that make you have those moments of realizing, like, holy crap, you are much younger than me.
Well, to that point, I mean, the lingo nowadays and the slang, I don't understand anything. Maybe like cap, no cap is like the only thing I get, because the other stuff that they say, whatever they're talking about next to me, it's like I always have to ask, like, what does that even mean? Or like, you know, obviously I grew up and listened to hip hop and R&B and stuff. They don't recognize any of the artists that I think
it's music. Okay.
Yeah, so music is a whole other thing, but yeah, with Nate Harriel as well, like all these guys, it's hilarious. But I love, and these guys are great, and I think, you know, I just try to use my experience also in terms of the soccer side of it to, you know, give back a little bit and help them out through, you know, I like that they have questions sometimes, and I want to jump in also in their sessions and be a part of it too, and you know, we talk a lot of tactics too, because tactically, I think, you know, the game can be complicated for young guys too. So
yes.
Yeah.
Well, Spiral Out, welcome into the chat. Doop doop. Spiral Out, and for anybody that's tuned into our Philly show, you probably are chuckling like I am, because the fact you just said cap or no cap, I did a whole Philly segment with our co-host Jamie Lynch about cap or no cap, and defined it for those that were tuning into the Philly show, because it's one of those terms that you hear these days, like everyone's saying, yeah, I just bought a water, no cap. Like, it's like you just hear and it's like, what is happening here? But the lingo these days is different. Did you have anything specific that jumps out at you that was said and you were just like, crap, I'm old?
Oh, I don't even know. But I know the union. I remember we did this. The social media team did a segment where I was involved with some of them. And I think cap was the only one that I got out of all the different words that they threw out now.
You need like a translator these days to keep up. I'm like,
honestly,
is this
you do. But then even with my son, he's 8 years old, and I'm listening to him say certain things. And I'm like, what did you just say? What does that even mean? And he's like, I got it from Roblox or something, or YouTube video.
Roblox is honestly a spot. A lot of kids learn lingo. I had a moment where my 5-year-old nephew was like, I was playing music, and I always say, for anytime I'm DJing, I will have no problem. I don't care who you are. I will say, I'll take requests. And my 5-year-old nephew actually gave a request and requested a song. And he's like, have you heard? He's like, put this song. I was like, what song is that? It was so good. I was like, gosh, am I old?
Oh my gosh.
That my 5-year-old nephew is suggesting songs to me. And it was like, I thought it was going to be some Coco Melon type of a song. It was not. It was like an Afrobeat song. It was good.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
But the kids these days do have you feeling a little bit old. So with that, I want to shift into talking about the team. Let's learn a little bit about more of them. I want you to give your initial thought. Don't overthink these questions. Give your initial response. First thing that comes to your mind. If you had to bury a dead body, which teammate would you pick to do it with you? Coach suggested that question. I love your reaction.
Jeez.
Who are you picking? Go.
Oh my God, if I had to bury a dead body, who am I picking?
Who are you calling first?
Oh, shoot. Let's go with Jack McGlynn, talking to a young kid. He's from Queens, so I feel like, they got some stuff going out there.
Oh. Your reaction was like, bet you weren't expecting that one. We were just jumping right in. I wasn't going to softball you. We just got to dive right in. My next questions will be later, I promise. But that was from Coach. That was a question Coach specifically said, so I won't take credit for that one.
Okay. I appreciate
Coach is
that.
smiling and waiting on that one.
Wasn't ready for it.
Who's the best dancer on the team?
The best dancer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the guy that's always dancing is Jose Martinez, and I'm pretty sure that's to no one's surprise. He's always out there trying to get his reggaeton music played on all over the place and always dancing. So I'd just go with him.
Is he a good dancer, though, do you feel like? Or he's just always dancing?
He's got some good, like, two-steps. And, he's a funny dancer.
Got some rhythm, got some fun. Okay. Do you have a singer? Is there anybody that can hold a tune? Is it you?
No. I'm just a singing in the shower kind of guy. But a good singer? No, we don't have anybody with a good voice that I know.
Not at all.
I haven't heard anybody, no.
Wow. There's still time, guys. Somebody can still take that spot and be the team singer. Maybe a rapper. Maybe there's a rapper.
I'm waiting for us to have a Christmas album like the Eagles, and then we'll see who's got a good voice.
Wow. That would be fantastic. We'd love that. Who's the funniest? Who do you feel like can always keep everybody laughing?
Besides me? Let's see. Who's got some good banter? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I feel like I do a decent job of keeping the locker room, loose with just, some of my banter and jokes. And, with my experience, maybe I can get away with saying a few things here and there.
That is true.
That kind of helps there. Yeah, I'll go with myself. I'll pick myself on that.
Yeah, as you can.
Hey, Amanda, would you agree?
Oh, Amanda said, no, you're not the funniest.
That's how I know that's how I know she picked me.
Cap. You're capping over there.
Yeah, Joe's funny too. Joe Bendick is a funny guy too. I got to go with him too.
You should have. Yeah, okay. I mean, I feel like if you can't pick someone, it's maybe because it is you.
But it's the two oldest guys, me and Joe.
You're the old man in the corner cracking jokes.
We just know a little more jokes and maybe more comfortable with saying, getting away with stuff.
Oh, man, that's great. Okay, what's an embarrassing moment that you can share that has happened?
That's important, right?
Yeah, that you can share. What's one that you can share from maybe the locker room or practice or
embarrassing moment? Well, I mean, I kind of just had an embarrassing moment on Wednesday night. The turf monster got me, and the ball got stuck under my foot, which would not happen on the grass field, and I gave Charlie the goal, pretty much the first goal. So that was embarrassing. That's the most latest one.
Okay. Oh yeah, and giving it to yourself. It happens to all of us. The turf monster's a real thing. The turf monster
got me, and that's pretty embarrassing, like as a professional for that to happen. I wasn't happy about it.
All right, okay. If you had to be stuck on an island with someone and you have to survive on this island, who are you picking?
Yeah, good. A teammate, I would pick probably maybe Jacob.
Okay.
He comes from a fishing family in Norway. So he's all about boats and knows about, water and like different things. I feel like if I'm on an island, maybe I'd want somebody like that who's comfortable around the sea.
Are you good with that type of stuff?
I'm not so good with that stuff. So I would need somebody,
okay, to
have
survive.
Him, probably catch fish, and then help us stay alive, eating them and cooking them.
Is he catching them with his bare hands?
Yeah. So, but I think I'd go with him.
Yes, I like that. Definitely got to pick somebody that can help you eat and will be able to catch the fish, or maybe even like hunting animals if you need to. Maybe makes a makeshift spear or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he's Norwegian, I don't know what kind of island like Viking. I think he's got some Viking, blood in him.
Okay, I'll give you that. As a parent of two, if you had to pick someone that, it's a weird question to even ask. Who would you trust most with your kids?
On the team?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've used some of my teammates as babysitters at times.
They're good babysitters. So that's the perk of having them significantly younger.
So there we go. Back to the young guys. So, Nate Harrio has done some time. Quinn, my daughter loves Quinn, and they get along great. So he's a good kid. Jack Elliott is.
So who's the best?
He's somebody
of all
I would
them?
trust. Well, I would say it's tough to say who's the best. They're all great kids, but I would just say Nate because he's got a dog. And my kids love dogs, so when he brings a dog over, Bear, he's they get along with them, and it's cool.
And that's a wrap. What kind of dog is it?
I don't even know.
Oh, it's just a fun dog.
It's just a cool dog. I'm not good with dog names and breeds.
I'm actually not good with that either. So if you had said it, I probably wouldn't even know it unless it was like a poodle or something.
Right.
There's a few breeds that I like fully know, but then some people say it's like a cross between a blah, blah, and you lost me. All right. And then Coach has another question because I agree, spiral out. That was a hardcore first question that Coach had. The best trash talker.
The best trash talker?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Besides me, again, I feel like I talk a good game. I would say I was talking about younger. Jack McGlynn is definitely the worst trash talker. But yeah, no, I think. That's a good one. I think the best trash talker. Yeah, I talk a good game. I think I can get it. Sometimes Dre can give it back to. Let's see who else. Jose, but. He's doing it in Spanish, so nobody can understand him except a few guys like myself. He's got to get more on Duolingo, so his trash talking translates. But yeah.
But would you pick them to back you up if you're in a fight? Do you think the trash talker can also back it up?
I don't know. I've yet to see Jose. I always joke with him. That's my trash talking. I say, you're all bark, no bite, so that's what I tell him. But we'll see.
Oh, man. And then I know Jose had another question in the chat I think is a good one. And I'll come back to this about your future because actually there's a couple people that have asked about your future, Ali. But we're not talking about you yet specifically with that.
I see Kevin up there with the hip hop. That's hilarious because yesterday we had an appearance, did an appearance at Mitchell and Ness, and Nate was driving, so I was in the passenger seat, and I was like, all right, let me see if we got some artists.
Ali,
yeah, so I was playing, some Jada Kiss, some Beanie Siegel, Freeway, Philly-based guys, and these guys they didn't even know any of these songs, and like I was playing the Diplomats album from Dipset, like all this stuff, and they had no idea. I even went back Talib Kweli, all the I was doing some throwbacks though, but
you were in your bag.
You were in your bag, DJing. Any songs, but I was jamming out to it. Yeah,
there's a lingo for you guys. Ali was in his bag DJing, but nobody else knew it. So was anybody else dancing, singing, rapping along? It was just you.
It was just pretty much me.
How many people were in the car?
Quinn was in the car too. Quinn Sullivan, and he knew He knew I think one Wu-Tang song. Yeah.
Wow, Wu-Tang they're actually on tour right now. I saw that too, but that's sad. I think the worst part is, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, I still knew songs and artists. Like my parents introduced me to music that was before my time. So even though I wasn't alive for the music or maybe even old enough, I knew it, that now I can still talk about music from like the 70s and 80s. But for whatever reason, this new generation, they know nothing about our music. It's not that long ago.
No, and it's changed so much. I feel like it's not lyrically in depth. It's just guys screaming with a decent beat.
I have no idea what's being said these days.
At least some of the
I feel like I'm stupid. I'm like, I don't know what's being said. All right, best and worst dresser spiral out is asking off the field, who's got the most swag, GQ?
The swag, GQ. Yeah, okay, it's a good one. The best dressed, I would say, guys like maybe Julian, Jacob. People make fun of sometimes Mika Ure. He's got this Scandinavian look, very Danish. Like sometimes like this oversized clothes that he rocks. But it's very stylish, I guess. But maybe it doesn't. It's not everybody's taste.
Yeah.
The worst dressed, I can I put myself on there, no problem. I'm a dad now, I got, dad. Look at this. It's like this is like dad style, like going out to like a golf or something. Let's say,
it is the style of about like 90% of the people in our office alone rock the classic polo khakis look. It's definitely khakis. A dad look.
Yeah,
it's a safe look,
Keep it simple, safe.
It is very safe. I
got too much time in the morning. I got to get the kids to school, and all this. So I just put on.
Yeah, outside of tearing up on the soccer field, you still have to be a dad too. So you don't really have time to be all GQ like maybe everybody else. But you did get a compliment for your outfit and looking. Somebody said it earlier. So yeah. Okay. Last question about you that I want to ask specifically is, I know Jose was asking earlier about the Latin community specifically in Philly and just the growth of the game. What do you think the team or the league can even do to continue to grow the game, to be able to tap into those other markets? Diversity is key. I know growing up for me playing soccer, I rarely saw another girl on the soccer field that was my complexion or even just a black girl that I played against. I don't know from your experiences how much you even saw that growing up, but still, it still needs. We're seeing an improvement, but there still needs to be more diversity in the game.
Yeah.
What do you think the league and the team specifically can do to help from your standpoint?
Yeah, look, I think that's great timing in that question. It is Hispanic Heritage Month, so it's a good time. But yeah, look, I think more diversity is needed, right? And Philadelphia being a minority majority city, I think still the Latino community though is not where I think it should be in Philadelphia. And this is outside soccer, but I'm working with another organization called Live Work Philadelphia, and part of the gist on that is it's a kind of a resident town attraction program, right? To try to help bring even more Hispanics and add more diversity, to make the city more vibrant, inclusive, all that stuff. But yeah, in terms of the league, I think there needs to be even more initiatives. I think in recent years, the clubs in general have done, within their scouting and recruitment network, they've done a better job of scouting, South Americans or even Central Americans to come to the league, especially younger, because they know there's value in them to be, come here, maybe sell them to Europe. But I think that helps grow the game. And the reason why we had a first iteration of the Leagues Cup is because the league is really trying to tap into that market. Because when you look at across the demographics and in terms of viewership numbers, the Mexican league is the most highly viewed league in America. And that says a lot right there in terms of the Hispanic community that needs to be tapped into. And I think even since when I've come here, I've talked to folks within the club is how can we do that even more, where folks coming to the stadium aren't just maybe suburban families, where's that urban community, the Mexican or Italian, whatever it may be here in the city to get out there. How can we, market it to folks that look more like myself or the Jose Martinez and Jesus Buenos or Joaquim Torres that we have on our team and bring more of those people and that fan base into our community, into the union fandom and things like that. So, it's a work in progress. Everything, but I think certainly it's an important initiative that I think the league has to do. And I'm not just talking about Hispanics, I'm talking about even more diversity as well.
Yeah, I always think a key part of that is absolutely access, resources. I just think about how expensive soccer is compared to maybe some other sports. And the reason why soccer is so popular in other countries is because they do play all the time and they're not focused on, I have to be on a turf field, I have to have the latest spikes, I have to be, have an organized soccer practice. Whereas in America, everything is very financial. It's so expensive. And I remember for many years, I coached club soccer. After I finished playing, I coached in college, I coached club. And through all those experiences, I'm like, this is why I rarely see players that are of color on the pitch, because you need to have parents that know about it, financially can afford it, parents that can drive you or fly you all over. It is very tough. So I think from an access standpoint for players, but even as you're talking about for fans, there's room for growth, and it is fortunately changing, but there's still more that needs to be done, without a doubt.
Yeah, we have the pay-to-play system here in the States, right? That can be at times, I guess, detrimental to, like you said, access, resources, development, and all that stuff. But I would say there's strides being taken. Obviously, the club has the Union Foundation. They've installed many pitches across the city in other areas. Some of our ownership group is involved with SWAG, which is trying to get a team more here in the urban part of the city, get more kids involved. And that's, you just need more resources and more access, because there are kids out there that want to play. The more that maybe I'm out here at PHLY, get soccer more into mainstream media helps. But, soccer is a sport that's going to continue to grow. But yeah, like you said, my kids play in a team in the city, and it still can cost upwards of $5,000 a year.
It's wild.
That's a lot of money. You talk about, that's not accessible to a lot of families, especially in the city. So, I think there's got to be more work done around those areas. Definitely. Well, there's a whole rabbit hole of conversation. We can continue down that path. I like the question, Jose, because it is good to talk about these things and have opportunities to just, for as much as we love talking about the games, the results, there is a whole other side of it of just
continuing to provide access and grow the sport that we love. So I do want to just tell you guys about an opportunity that you can be able to save some more money and buy merchandise. That's with FOCO. FOCO has you covered with any sort of sports and entertainment collectibles, toys, apparel, merchandise that you want to purchase. They've got a lot of Philly sports gear that you can check out. I know they help us out here at PHLY, so you can use that code on your screen. And for those of you that are listening back across podcast platforms, PHLY gets you 10% off at FOCO and be able to check out all the things that they have there, so you can buy some more gear and merchandise for you or your little ones, whoever it is that you're purchasing for. So Ali, you talk about and joke about being the old man in the locker room now, but your career and your journey has been a very special one.
Thanks for the reminder.
Fellow Jersey native, we're both from Jersey. I'm Central Jersey though.
Okay.
The
All
real,
right.
Central Jersey.
North Jersey is where it's at though.
North Jersey is great for I love a good North Jersey brunch.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. The restaurants and food are good, but Central Jersey. All right, so just looking at your career as a whole, growing up in Jersey, and then going through St. Thomas Aquinas High School, off into college, what was the moment in your career that you felt like shifted you from playing soccer just for fun to this is something I can do for the rest of my life? Or not the rest of your life, but for many, many more years.
Right, yeah. No, well, both my parents are from Colombia, right? They immigrated here. And North Jersey, as you are, is like a big melting pot as well.
It is.
So there's a big Colombian community there. I lived up there until I was 9 years old or so, before my father got relocated for a job down to South Florida, which is another huge melting pot. It's another big Colombian and Hispanic community. So everywhere I lived, soccer was always a big part of my life. My parents played it, and obviously everyone that I was friends with in those cities that I grew up in, they played it as well. But I was lucky to be on a great team. We resided in Weston, Florida, and the Weston FC team was a very good team, travel club team. At that time, we didn't have academies like how they have it all set up here nowadays. And this whole MLS Next stuff. So it was just a travel team, and you represented Weston and Florida, and you traveled to all these showcases and tournaments all across the country. And like I said, I was lucky to play on actually a really, really good team, which was a great mix of players, Americans and from all the South American countries, Haitians, everywhere. And we had a good team, and we won states, we won regionals, we went 2 times to nationals, national championships, and that's when I started to really know that I thought that maybe I could go further. Obviously, a big goal of youth sports in this country, I think that's other pressures the parents put on their kids, but that's a whole nother topic, is to obviously get that college scholarship, because that was me. The likelihood of going pro is unlikely, but at least if you can get a college scholarship and help, from an educational standpoint, that's great, because college is super expensive here in this country. But I obviously didn't have actually as many offers as maybe I thought I had, playing on such a great team and the quality of my play. But back to, being, I guess, the story of my career in general, being maybe overlooked, underrated, this and that. I have I always talk about this email saved of some of the college coaches that I wanted to go to, where they said I was too small, too skinny, I wasn't fast enough. My game wouldn't translate because I'm not physical enough. My dream was always to go to an ACC school, right? Like UNC Chapel Hill, because of Jordan, all that stuff. But I wanted to go play in the ACC, but numerous emails from ACC schools saying, all those things, or even one coach saying that I wouldn't be playing as a freshman. And I was like, how can you say that to somebody where I haven't even stepped foot? You haven't seen me train. I haven't even competed. I haven't shown you what I'm capable of. Like, you don't play freshman just because. Like, it should be merit based. But yeah, all that stuff. But then, so I really feel it wasn't until my freshman year in college actually where I was like, all right, I can really probably go pro in this. Where that mindset shifted. I was a freshman All-American. At FDU, actually, North Jersey, sorry. And then I transferred to Boston College, an ACC school, because that first game of that season that year, I think I scored a goal and assisted on one. We beat them 3-0. It was a big upset. I ended up going to Boston College, and right then and there, I made an immediate impact in ACC. And that's where, I got called up, for the Olympic team, the U.S. Olympic team in the under 20s. And that's where I started really, I can be professional and make my dream a reality.
Yeah. I love that. The fact that you shared throughout your career, it wasn't always easy. You weren't always, predicted and expected to be a future professional soccer player. You had coaches that didn't think you were going to be good enough, fast enough, strong enough, whatever it was. I know I definitely had my fair share of the same types of conversations, actually. Too skinny. Well, I was a quick player, but mine was too skinny. There's always a question of your foot skills, which I'm like, I don't know why they're questioning my foot skills when I'm leading score and assists and everything. It's fine in the back of the net, just fine. And finding teammates' feet to score. But also the same type of thing of, we don't know if you're going to be able to play your freshman year, or you might have to wait a year. I remember I had a coach that told me, we don't give scholarships to freshmen. I was like, well, this freshman needs a scholarship because there's 4 of us that are all going to college, and my parents are not wealthy enough to just write a check. So there are even those factors when you have the talent, but you don't have maybe the support or the belief. And for you, what helped you push through that when you were getting those rejections or those emails? I know you say you still keep them probably as motivation. What helped you use that as motivation and not something that was discouraging?
Yeah, no, I think I have a lot to thank the support system I had, right? And the friends that I had, especially, and my family. My father was a very important figure in my life. He was the one that kind of, he didn't need to push me, but he was always there. He traveled a lot because of work, but the times that he didn't travel when he was home, he made it a point to always go out and train with me. We grew up in South Florida. Obviously, it was very hot, but I recall he was my running coach. We'd wake up at 5 a.m. and he would be willing to wake up with me before it got really hot and go to the track and just work on, endurance, stamina, and then work on technical stuff. And he'd be the ones, serving me the balls and working on, technical stuff. So he really was vital for me. And he's he loves quotes, and, he'd always sit me down and read certain quotes from different, authors and writers and things like that. And just, instilled this mindset in me that, like, you don't need to listen to the noise or, the negative stuff. Just always be more positive and optimistic, and because the belief in you is what really matters, and that's what's going to drive you.
Is there a specific quote that's stuck with you, maybe more than others?
I've had so many. No, I mean just general quotes, like what's the hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. That was a very important one for me, just because I thought I was always talented, but obviously I had more talented players on my team, like strikers and more maybe technical folks that can make wingers that can do step overs and fancy moves. That's not my game. Yeah. But especially in high school years, those are the transformative years where if you get caught up in the wrong things with the wrong friends, even as talented as you may be, well, you're not going to make it, and that's what happened. And I was always focused on that I wanted to play soccer. I always had the dream of playing professional, right? But at least get into college and see where it goes. Yeah. And so that was always my mindset, discipline.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a big quote person, which is why I asked. But I feel like, those quotes are the things, or even just those conversations, those moments are the things that help stick with you, throughout the course of your career, that you just hear that voice in the back of your head of like something your dad told you, or remembering that morning run or whatever it may be. And for you, having had opportunities, you've played with various teams internationally. You've played in obviously the MLS. We're talking about the Union. You've also played with the national team. How have those moments really helped you today? What do you feel like through all these different experiences, reaching so many milestones and accolades and accomplishing so much, how has it helped you today to continue to be the leader that you are on the field?
Yeah, as you mentioned, experiences. I mean, that can't be understated. Like, I'm so blessed to have played all, this many games, this many seasons, years, and across the world, really. I mean, the opportunities that I've been afforded by playing club ball in Europe, but also representing the national team has been unbelievable. Like I always say, I've been to places that I never thought I would. I've seen things. I've met people. I've enjoyed parts of cultures, with food and music and the arts and all this stuff that has just been amazing. And I feel like that's been the number one, kind of not to discredit the educational system, but I feel like I've learned even so much more with these travels and experiences. And that's all given me perspectives and things that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise, I feel like. And that's allowed me to become the person that I am. It's molded me into, having, like I said, different perspectives and the way of thinking that maybe some folks don't have because they haven't been able to, or, have these opportunities that I've had.
I like the fact you talk about the perspectives off the field. And as we get ready to wrap up here, I know we're already coming up on the hour mark. I do want to give a chance to ask the questions that we had submitted on Twitter. People did tweet us or X us, maybe. I don't know. They X'd us and asked some questions. So let's take a quick pause to take a look at our FAQs, fan questions that we have been asked so far. Now, similar to a question that we had before, about the your life after soccer. There was a nice question that was asked. I'm trying to actually find it really quickly here. Starting off with a question from Nick Youngstein, who asked if you see coaching in your future. You seem like a coach when you're on the pitch. And Nick's wondering, do we have a future of you coaching?
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, I've told myself, I don't see myself really being a coach after.
Okay.
We'll see. I never know where life might take you.
Not with your kids either? You don't want to coach them?
Not really. I coach him at home, but I told my wife, my son, my family that I don't want anything to do. I don't want to put any pressures on him. I'll sit on the sidelines. I'll hear all the other coaches, screaming and all the stuff that goes on in youth sports, but I don't want to put any pressures on my kids. So, if he wants to have advice from me, and I like that he takes initiative. They're like, Daddy, you want to go play? Or Daddy, you want to come kick the ball? Like, that's great. I love that he's getting into it. He's 8 years old, so I like that, but. As of right now, I don't know. I feel like I prefer to maybe have, maybe a front office role, or, obviously I'm involved in different business ventures. So if I can see some of those taking off and me being more actively involved in them post-career.
Okay.
So we'll see. But, coaching, is always there I feel like for a player.
I could see you being more the front office. You come around the team, and you're the fun guy. That's maybe not a suit, but maybe you're the David Beckham a little bit more of that.
Well,
type
I don't even know if people wear suits that much anymore. Really.
They don't.
It's more like biz casual.
Whatever people are wearing these days. I don't know. But yeah, I could see that. I can definitely see more of the business side too. All right, asking about the fixtures coming up. It's John Crisafi. I'm so sorry if I said that incorrectly. Asking, with this fixture congestion for the next weeks, how do you and the team manage energy levels game to game?
Yeah, that's great. I think, look, obviously part of that is also has to come from within. You have to have a certain mentality to be ready for every game. But also, it's part of the job of the coaching staff and a guy like myself too, to make sure that guys are ready to go at the opening whistle. There's also, a nutritional part of it. I guess there's things that we take that can help with boosting some energy levels, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, like I said, we're all competitors, right? So we want to make sure that we compete and do our best every game. Yeah.
Yes. Last two questions from the ones that were submitted on X. John PM 21 says, what is your favorite venue to play in outside of Philly, of course, outside of Subaru Park? What is your favorite venue to play in?
A favorite venue to play in outside of Subaru Park is probably, I think, Atlanta has a good crowd, but I hate the turf. Playing at LAFC has been great. They got a new stadium, but all the places that have new stadiums, really.
All the new stadiums.
Nashville has a great atmosphere,
Yeah.
Cincinnati has a great atmosphere at their stadium. But we've yet to play at Austin and St. Louis, and I've heard nothing but amazing things about those two stadiums. So.
Okay. Yeah. And John asked what you can update, but there's nothing to update at Subaru Park. It's all nice. It's always a great atmosphere. And then Coach, I will give Coach our final question. Coach has had a lot of questions for you, Ali. The coolest athlete you've ever met?
The coolest athlete I've ever met. Oh, wow, that's a good one.
Coach with the questions, man.
Yeah. I would say it had to be AI. I wanted the Sixers game, right?
Okay.
Pretty cool. I mean, he's a Philly icon, and I think he's one of the guys that changed the game in many, many different ways too. From being that cool athlete, right?
Yeah.
He got so much slack, but at the end of the day, he's just being himself.
I would love to meet AI. Yeah, he definitely changed the game in a lot of ways. All right, so I got to tell you guys about DraftKings, and I'm going to tell you though first, this is a longer read, so this is a great chance to buckle up, because as we wind down the show, the final segment is all about you, and we're going to have some quick rapid fire questions coming your way. And if you think the ones before were tough, it's about to get tricky. I was going to break out the It's Tricky song, but I won't do that to you guys. All right, DraftKings. We're looking at another week of football action coming up. And so DraftKings Sportsbook is helping you keep in the NFL action with great offers every single day. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. So head on over to DraftKings, sign up with code PHLY. And again, you can take advantage of that deal where new customers can bet just $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets, only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL with code PHLY. The crown is yours. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, if you're there, help is available for problems with gambling. You can call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. And on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles, you've got to be 21 and older. The age does vary by jurisdiction. It's void in Ontario. And you can see sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets do expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Whew. All right, Ali, as we wrap up here, we've got to get into a little bit more. So it's time for the U in union, trying to put the U back in union. We're talking all things about you right now. So first thing is, if you didn't play professional soccer, what would you be doing?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier I'd be like to maybe be in the front office or something. So I think I went to business school at BC. So I feel like I'd probably be somewhere in New York City.
What is your favorite hobby?
Hobby? Yeah, I just enjoy other sports. So just hanging out, watching sports. Yeah, I'm a sports guy.
I feel that. Go-to song, pump-up song?
Go-to song? Oh, I don't know. I like a lot of this reggaeton music, J Balvin. Yeah.
Favorite career moment that you've had?
Favorite career moment?
If you could just pick one.
Well, I mean, a super milestone is like just being at the World Cup, right? That's a pinnacle of anybody's career, right? So definitely World Cup, and then also, I guess, scoring against PSG in Paris.
Okay.
It's a nice goal.
Was there a player that you have looked up to, a role model?
Players that I looked up? There's been a few, Zidane, Thierry Henry, Kaká, Iniesta. So, and then of course Messi. He's my age, but at the same time, I mean, this guy's the world's best player for me.
Yeah, definitely. And then last two for you, best teammate over the years. I know you've had a lot of great teammates. It's hard to pick just one, but if you had to pick one.
Best teammate over the years? Wow, that's a tough one. Yeah. Look, I think just right now for Philly fans, I think Jacob Glesnes, obviously, he's one of my close friends. He's Norwegian. My wife is Norwegian. They're actually from the same city in Norway, Bergen. So they have that whole connection. So, yeah, and he's just overall a nice guy, good guy.
And then last one, obviously you guys came close winning last year. But what would you sacrifice and give up in your life to bring a championship to Philly?
Oh, man, what would I sacrifice? Oh, that's a tough question.
Saving the best for last.
Yeah. Oh, that's tough. I don't know. You got me with that one.
Is there something that
anything like you think about legacy, you think about like why I was signed here, things like that. It was the ultimate goal is to win the championship. And that's what I want to bring to the Philly fans. That's been my goal since I got here.
Okay.
So,
would you be willing to give up like something that you do every day? I don't know if you're a coffee person. You don't seem like a coffee person.
I am a big coffee guy. Yeah.
Oh.
So I have to have my coffee every morning. So yeah, I'd give up coffee. I'd give up anything.
Like
I love
an
red.
arm,
I love
like
to
whatever
drink red
it takes.
wine. I'd give up my left leg, whatever, anything. Yeah, really.
There you go, Ali. Ready to give up it all, whatever it takes to bring a championship to Philly. Hopefully this is the year you guys do it. You've clinched the playoff spot. This is just the beginning of all the fun for the real season as we're looking to close out the regular season. Of course, the big game tomorrow against LAFC. Thank you so much for joining us here on the show. It's been a pleasure learning about you, learning about your team, and chatting with you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Let's go Union.
Yes, yes. And for anybody, you can always tune in, subscribe, follow. We're live on YouTube. At least we'll be moving forward next week, twice per week, that we'll have more episodes for you live. For those of you that are wanting to also listen on podcast platforms, you can subscribe and follow and find PHLY Union Podcast anywhere you catch your podcast. So for myself, Renee Washington, and our lovely guest, a great first guest of many to come here on the show, Ale Bedoya, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe, and be sure to catch us for more here on PHLY Union Podcast in the future. Have a great weekend. Doop, doo, doo, doo. Go Union.
Yeah.
See you guys next time.
We all silly like the mayor.